Scott, 2 games in the championship. Overall, how have you felt it's gone?
Newish group coming together. Young group still. In training, where performances are starting to come. We've survived going over to France and actually managed to get some bits in there that we thought we were quite pleased with, and a bit frustrated to not get the win against Italy. I think we did plenty to put ourselves in a position to score points. And look, we've had a fallow week now where we've been able to focus on a bit of the execution with pressure, and hopefully we can put that on the field against Wales.
What have you liked about your side to date?
So they're a very, very adaptable group. They've got like, sometimes you have to coach adaptability. So our group come with a level of adaptability. The bit we've got to keep going after is the confidence. So whether you go points down or whether you go points up, use that first bit against Italy where we were particularly dominant. They've almost got to give themselves permission to kick on through the gears, rather than sort of get hampered by it and resign to it being a close game.
How much do you feel is your responsibility, yes, the coaching, but to guide that confidence and encourage it?
It's part of being a head coach. How you set your environment, how you use leaders, how you grow people within. It's the players out on the pitch that do the business end of it, but you know, in the same way as it will always be about more than 15 players on the park at any one point. So we're trying to develop a rounded squad. We're trying to develop a tight-knit group that can feed energy off each other, both when it's going well and when it isn't. So yeah, I think we're part of the head coach's role is you've got to be more than just on-pitch performance.
And how honest is this group you're working with?
So we theme our weeks, and we've had a serious amount of honesty going on, both in the things that work. So there's a natural trait with the girls that they want to look at things that didn't work, but you've got to reflect and go, actually, we got ourselves into those positions because that worked. It's part of honesty. Part of honesty is also understanding why things didn't work and how you need to train, how you need to prepare, and what you can do both as an individual and a collective to get better. So I would say there's been an enormous amount of honesty. That won't stop after last weekend or after this weekend. That'll keep going. So all we're trying to do is keep going after improved performances.
Error count's been talked about a lot. I'm sure you're sick of hearing that against Italy, but you did put yourselves in those positions. But in regards to training, how do you even try and practice, the error count getting better in pressure if you're not playing against another team?
Well, there's a couple of bits you have to do. You have to make sure you practice things in context. So you've got your skill sets bits, so your competence of skill. That's an ongoing piece of work. Catch, pass, kick, catch, stuff like that. That's an ongoing piece of work that in any environment, whether it be our environment or professional men's environments, we work on that with these groups. The second bit is then you have to test it. Okay, and you've got to have the confidence to perform a skill. So you have a technique, then you've got a skill. When there's a decision to be made, how do you apply that technique, where and when, and how do you use it? So, and then you dial it up, then you have to test it with pressure. So we've got a sequence of events that we go through, and we do that. You can't spend all your time under pressure in the same way that you can't spend your time just with like block practice, just the skill. So you have to blend. And again, that's the coaching team's skill is how you blend working on each area of that.
Before we get into the specifics over the next couple of weeks, what's the biggest improvement you want to see from this group going forward?
I want to see them keep believing in what they started against Italy. So yes, there's an error count piece. Why their errors being made? Probably usually because either a little bit of belief or a little bit of your thought process just deviates a smidge, and so pressure, whether it's pressure you're putting on yourself or pressure of thinking about something different. So look, we just put ourselves in a position that we can execute those opportunities. So we're going to keep going after the confidence and the belief, okay, because that put us there, but we're going to keep, hopefully we can transfer some of the bits we've worked on in training about finishing that off and getting some scores.
In regard to the team itself, one game you've started Nicole Fowley, another one you've started Dannah O'Brien. As a coach, how important is it you maybe give one position, yes, injuries willing, one person the shot at 10 for the next couple of weeks?
So we've got two great fly halves, two girls that can run the show. This week we go with our second start with Dannah. Dannah's got some real strengths to her game, as has Nicole. So just feel that they're competing. We compete in training, and we think we've got the selection right for this game.
As far as Ireland's kicking game in general, yes, you've got Nicole and Dannah kicking. How big an area of improvement do you think it needs to be from the back three specifically?
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be a big point of the game. Women's rugby over the last 5-6 years, we've seen a big growth in where and how you decide to play the game. There's some tactical advantages that you can maximise by doing it as well. So look, our back three, what are they like at kicking? Do we practice it? Absolutely. Are they getting better under pressure? Yes, they are. So it's something to keep working at. They've also got their own super strengths. So as much as you want to focus on some bits, we've got some very, very talented runners in that back three. I think we've got some try-scoring power. So tactically, how and where you put your kickers. We've obviously bring Enya back in now from injury. She played her first 60 minutes last week. So Enya's got a big boot on her as well. So look, we've got some tactical advantages with who and kick, and it's up to us how we deploy them.
You talked about bringing Enya back in last week after a year out. Another person you brought in, different circumstance, Kina Maloney. There seems to be a real buzz about her not playing for Ireland for a couple of years, but you've given her the opportunity to come back into the squad. What do you expect from her?
I think we'll just see what she brings on pitch performance. She's got a bit of edge to her. We know she's going to create break the line and line break opportunities. We know she's going to compete hard. So she's been shown that in training. That's why she's got the opportunity to get named in a matchday squad this week.
So is she going to be in the squad?
When does it go out? I'm trying to think when it goes out. We'll see when it gets released.
Your next opponent's Wales this weekend. What areas do you feel you can target them at?
So Wales bring with them a known game, I would say, a known set of ingredients. They managed to get themselves to WXV1 by finishing third last year in the Six Nations. They come off the back of 2 losses as well, so they've had a few losses in WXV, and they come in Six Nations with 2, and they had a close game against Scotland. So look, we're aware it's going to go down to the wire. We know they've got a heavy pack that they're going to utilise. So we'll try and minimise what damage they can do, and by getting on top of them and giving them some problems to think about. Okay, then it's probably most importantly about us getting our game out there, and we feel if we do that, we'll give them more than enough.
An area Scotland did attack and get a couple of tries was out wide. You've obviously looked at that as a head coach, and Ireland do have strengths in the back line. So without giving too much away, are we expecting this attacking game plan to continue?
I think what the girls did against Italy, I think the game plan was accurate for what the opposition was. It's just finishing it off. We know we've got to give Wales a rounded approach to the game. We know we've got to deal with balls in the air. We've got to give them. We've got to play the rugby in the right areas of the game. We know we're going to have to push and try and get dominance up front, because generally that's where games are won and lost. Okay, and we know we're going to have to ask some questions on the edges. So it'll be a blended approach. The girls and stuff, what I said about them being adaptable, they'll see where they get advantage on pitch, and then I'd like to see us maximise that.
They've obviously had a mix-up or a change at 10. Clecky George has come in, considering Elar Snow still has retired. Have you looked at that as a coach, and what do you make of her?
I've known her for a few years, obviously being around the English Premiership and seeing what she can do. So really, really familiar with her game. Some of the girls play with her at club back in England. So yeah, look, she's a known quality. She drives them around the pitch. I'd expect her to play her normal game. We'll anticipate that. Hopefully we can get some advantage off the back of that.
What gives you the confidence that your team can go and win in Cork at the weekend?
I take an awful lot of confidence from seeing how the girls have trained and bounced back from the loss last week. I take an enormous amount of confidence from seeing how they prepared to play last week against Italy. So if you track performances, and then you track confidence within those performances, so we have high belief that we're on the right path. We know that confidence and performance should start translating into winning performance. This
is only your third match, or it will be, as head coach of Ireland in the Six Nations. You talk about processes, and if you're not winning, you're learning. But what stage do you feel it's right, or Ireland should be winning?
Certainly, there's a group that we should be winning now. I think Italy last week is a game that we should have won. We won't fear talking about it. It's okay to say, do you know what? There's a game we should have won. won there. So yes, we want to talk about winning. We talk about it internally, but the thing that will get you the wins is your confidence and your commitment to your process. So we have to make that our first port of call. It's developing a stronger group. It's developing stronger performances in training, and we know that will result in winning performance.
And finally, you talked about a couple of weeks ago to me, you said the biggest aim, what Ireland want to do is qualify for the World Cup. But over the next 3 weeks, what is the overall goal?
So there's no point not talking about it. Getting to the World Cup's everything for us this year. Strategically for the RFU, it's really, really important. We want to get performances out there that build the game, and get to the World Cup is a big part of that. Now we can do that in a couple of different ways. So we can get to that by finishing third in the Six Nations, and we can get to that through the WXV2 process. So each game holds very, very high levels of importance in terms of wins, okay, performing and wins. So what do we want to talk about? We want to talk about getting to the World Cup. If we can do that by winning our remaining games and still pitching to try and get third in the Six Nations, we'll do that. If it's through the WXV2 process, we'll do it that way.
Scott, thanks for your time and all the best at Virgin Media Park at the weekend.